Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight if you're in Hong Kong, and in the morning if you're in the US. I'm Chang. I'm the curator from Parasite, and joining me is Joyce Mack, our assistant curator. And we are visiting Hong Kong artist Doreen Chan's studio in Chicago. Doreen, thank you for joining us early in the morning at 8 a.m. in Chicago. How are you doing?
I am good, and yeah. First of all, I want to speak in Cantonese. 大家好啊，好掛住你哋。Yeah, and then I don't have to translate in English. Okay. Yeah. I just say hello to my folks in Hong Kong, and yeah, and morning. And I am actually I'm at my home. Like yeah, it's also could be called studio as well. Because I have a kind of small room for my studio, which because my studio in school has been closed since March. Yeah, and I have locked myself at home like for 3 months, but I have finally went to a picnic like a few days ago, like in a park, like just few minutes walk from my place. Yeah. Yeah, it's just feeling so long that during this quarantine, like much longer than 3 months actually. Yeah.
Is school planning to open soon, or do you see yourself under quarantine for a longer period?
Oh, are you serious? Like, are you going to ask this serious question like from the beginning? Yeah, actually, this is a very serious question that I'm worrying because I moved to Chicago because I start my study here, and I like from March like we start online classes, and then I thought it's so much difference that study in person and also how we socialize in the campus from just staying at home yourself and looking on the screen. Yeah, and I really wonder like in the coming fall, actually it's just like less than 3 months, like will the school open again? And yeah, I'm not sure because I came here is for study, you know, so yeah.
I was wondering about your work because I know that your work usually has this capacity to explore one's inner world, one's emotional experience. So this experience being locked at home, has it do anything positive to your artistic practice? And what are you working on right now?
Yeah, I think it's made me think of a joke people always saying that like actually artists is being the same like during quarantine because we always lock ourselves in our studio. And actually I think this is kind of true, and I think during this quarantine period I have more time to really like observe and also like more understand about my living. And and maybe I could share you like,
or should I do the screen sharing so it's easier for you to talk?
Oh yeah, okay, thank you.
Send me some of the photos.
You do that?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, actually since I lock myself at home and I keep feeling that like I already lock myself at home, I sacrifice my freedom to going out. So I have to be very clean, like at home to avoid any risk to being infected. And I found that actually I'm kind of like make myself like a bit anxiety, and and actually at the like very the first month I couldn't make anything, and then after that I tried to use gray and plastic to kind of feel the material, like they are handmade, and actually they are related to my daily life, which I found that when I lock myself at home, some behavior or some gesture is keep repeating. Yeah. The video showing here is those objects that I just mentioned. And after seeing the video, I guess I could show you the real object on my hand.
So Doreen, in terms of material, you said that they are clay and plastic. So the slightly shinier objects are made from plastic?
Yeah, the white one. Yeah, actually they are moldable plastic. So I melt them first, and then like before it becomes solid, I could use my hand to mold it. Yeah, and
The shape of these objects, are you basing certain object or certain structure on them, or are these all very subconscious shape that you made?
actually it's half. Maybe you could stop sharing, and then I could show like here. Yeah, and I bring it on my hand here, so you can tell the size. Actually, maybe it's more than you imagine from the video. Like this one actually is I mold it from a shampoo bottle. So this is the negative space of a shampoo bottle. Yeah. And then,
The bottom of the shampoo bottle.
no, the cover, like, yeah, yeah. And then for this one, it's come with this. And this one actually is I melt the metal and then I put on the handle of the fridge refrigerators, which I always scared of, like, you know, all those handle at home because of the hygiene. So I put it, cover the handle, and then I unfold it. Yeah, and become a shape like this. And this is more like I just randomly make by hand. Yeah. And also this one is I put it in between the MacBook. Maybe I could show it here. Look, like here is MacBook, and then I keep closing it like for several times. It will have this mark. Like, yeah, when I'm doing that, I think I feel this kind of like details in daily life is live with me most closely during this period. Yeah. So
I think this is definitely a series reflecting on quarantine life when the entirety of your living environment is reduced to your apartment space. You're trying to create landscape and other forms out of this very limited space. I liked the one that you made from your refrigerator handle. It's sort of like a seashell or like a flower petal.
yeah, and I don't know, like when I'm making this, it seemed like, oh, this is just very small object, you know. Like I'm not sure is this artwork for me, but it just happened, you know.
And the reason why you chose to use refrigerator handle as the base of the object is also something that it's very spontaneous, or is it something that you planned, that you make selection?
Actually, it's not like I don't really plan it. Maybe I should show you the first one. Sorry, I should bring it here. I jumped to my room now. I forget I still wear the pajama pants.
You didn't realize that's pajama.
The top mistake of okay. Anyway, this one is the first one I made. Actually, I make an egg, and then I make an egg of gray, and then I just crop it like from the table corner, just like how I crop the egg every day. So this is the first piece. Because one day I just suddenly, oh, actually, how does the egg feel being cut from the table corner? I want to know. So I try to make one, and let me know how is this look like actually.
It makes more sense. So all of the objects actually come from your daily movement, your daily action within the apartment space. So you open refrigerator on a daily basis and then use your laptop and crack eggs, things like that. Got it.
Yeah.
Are there any more works that you want to show us? The recent pieces?
Yeah, and also the one is I used something that, like, maybe I could say like the only material that I could use during the quarantine. This one, yeah. This one actually is a package, a plastic package from the mattress I brought when I moved to here. And then during the quarantine, I just, actually I have faced a lot of kind of problems, yeah. And then my emotional is kind of affected, to be frank, my emotion kind of affected, and I want to start to paint because I feel better after paint, but you know I'm not a painter, so that this plastic package originally actually is just like a garbage on my floor and like folding, and I start to observe the folds of the plastic, and then I start to follow the shape and the shadow to paint it, and I hang it up and observe the light from the side window, and also try to chase the light, yeah.
So the color blocks and the lines that we see on a plastic sheet are actually basing on the folds, the traces of folds.
Yeah,
I see.
like mostly. And then afterward, I do some random painting on it, yeah.
So this piece reminds me of a piece that you showed last year in Sanya in mainland China.
Yeah.
It's that is a quilt. It's also a abstract painting, oil painting on quilt. So maybe we can move from here to that work, and then you can talk to us more about that piece.
Yeah, actually, I kind of found that this IKEA mattress package painting is kind of a version 2 of what I did last year. That's just after I moved to Chicago. So this one is called Untitled Legend. Actually, the one that you see here is a quilt. Like I brought it from Hong Kong, and which I have used it for like over 10 years. And at that time, actually, I moved to Chicago last August. And at that time, actually, the social movement in Hong Kong is still like very serious. And because of the time zone difference, every day before I fall asleep and after I wake up, I will look at my phone and watching the Facebook Live of what's happening in Hong Kong. I thought that those images from those news and lives really affecting me, and I couldn't sleep well, and as many Hong Kong people they do. So, and during the daytime, I just feel so unsettled, and I don't know what can I do. And my brain doesn't really work well to think of some like more conceptual work. I don't know. So I hand up this quilt like which close to me during like I watching those lives and news and start painting every day at my school studio. Yeah, maybe I could show the how I hand up the.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you all seeing that?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, yeah, the quill, and then I hand it like by clipping it, and it's kind of unstable. Once I paint it, it will kind of waving. And why I did that, because that kind of waving when I painting actually is synchronized. My feeling is kind of like reflecting how that anxiety, unsettled from my heart. Yeah, that's what I'm doing, and I hand it like inside, like inside to the gap between the column and the wall in my studio at school, because it's kind of like feeling that use the body, like use the quill as the unit of my body to feeling the new space that I'm here.
Doreen, so the darker side is also part of the quilt, or is it another?
Yeah. Oh, so actually, it's just one quill, and it
goes into the wall and then came out.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's the part that went inside, that part is unpainted because you weren't able to get inside painted, right?
Actually, it's kind of embarrassed when I sing here. I kind of interact with this quill because it's like kind of straight like this. I will punching into the gap.
Oh.
And I will put some paint and then punching, and I just did anything that I feel like want to at that time to kind of react, express my feeling on this quill. Yeah. And because of the already like this kind of decided shape, and how I paint like the background, like in the middle, how I once paint, and it will go to the right side, and then we'll touch the more back sides of the quill as well. Yeah.
When I see this work in Sanya last year, the part that I really like about it was that it's not just a painting, that it's of a abstract expressionist tradition, the way you structure it as a sculpture is the part that I really like. And then the addition of the transparent resin on the quotes were really nice when you're really looking at the work, because on one hand, the transparency creates a certain kind of lightness. From the image, one cannot easily tell that there are pieces of resin in the sculpture. But when you really notice them, it does have this sense of heaviness as well. So this uneasy feeling inside the comfortness of a quilt is quite present when I was looking at the work. And I think this is the part that I really enjoy of this work. And I know that after this piece, you started to be very obsessed about dreams. And then you are currently working on an ongoing series that is about dreams of people from different places. Can you tell us more about this?
Yeah, yeah, because from this cool work, it's kind of like a starting point of my dream project. So what I'm doing, actually, I collecting dream contents from people who are from different nations, including Hong Kong. And maybe we can show them the dream content form that I sent. I showed to. Okay, this is the dream content collection form that I distribute. Why I collecting dreams? Actually, I think I didn't sleep well at that period, like because of the Hong Kong social movement. And I know that, and I saw the news that many Hong Kong people are suffering from insomnia as well, or even having recurrent night dream, and even PTSD. And I just keep asking myself, what can I do? You know, as an artist, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist, and I didn't know what I could do. And so, but I know I care about the well-being of them. So I try to connect these dream contents from them. And luckily, at this stage, I have some finding, and then I could work from that. Like I collect around like 30-40 dreams only, like from this before quarantine. And I found actually some of them, they share common dreams. Although they are from different places, like they don't know each other. And one of the example of one pair of they share common dream is Kai. Kai is from Chicago, and like his dream, like he share on the dream content form, is very, very similar with Isabel from Hong Kong. Yeah, maybe some of you know Isabel, and maybe Isabel is here. Their dreams both are in a like flooding, heavy rain dream scene with their pets, and have the feeling of getting lost. Yeah, so once I found their shared common dream, so I try to kind of recreate the dream scene with them. And so I talked to them like separately for Kai, like the photo we see here, actually, I asked him what he saw in the dream, like the scene, where did they come from? And he told me actually the dream, the scenes is kind of a mix of Seoul, like in South Korea, and Mexican Barcelona. So when I talked to him and found that actually he had lived in these two cities before. So I asked him, "Oh, do you want to share? Can you try to find, is there any images or photo you taken in these two cities? It's similar to the scene that you saw in your dream." And yeah, because in the dream scene is the mixture of alleyway, and from the photos he taken, he found there are two images. It's kind of similar with his dream scene. So we printed this photo into a very large one, like 1.5 meters. And then we washing those prints out. And then we bring it in another alleyway in Chicago, and we kind of like playing it with them and taking a photo.
I see.
And for this one, it's about like both Isabel and Kai, they were with their pets in the dream. And for Isabel, like she only has one dog, but she saw two dogs with the same faces or the same appearance still in her dream. So I asked Isabel to holding his dog to take a photo at one side, and then after that holding it from another side and take another photo, and I combining them. Yeah, and this is kind of holding two dogs. It's also what Isabel told me that she dreams that at her dreams. Yeah.
So are these images the final product of their dreams?
I'm not sure yet, to be frank. Now it's still a very experimental stage for me. And also apart from Isabel and Kaya, and for Isabel, I also make this ceramic. And actually I make two, I bring it here, I can show you. When it's like this, yeah, because Isabel dream of moose, and actually she dreams of a sculpture which look like moose and coat, but she didn't know what exactly. So I kind of imagine what she saw in the dream, and I make this one.
This is another dream, right?
No, the same dream. Yeah, because the dream is kind of long, so there are different scenes. And this one is inspired from Isabel dreams scene as well. Yeah, and I'm not sure yet like how the final artwork will look like, because I'm working different medium right now. Yeah. And
so how many dreams have you gotten from people?
because of the quarantine, so before the quarantine I collect like about 30 40s. Yeah, and within this small amount of dreams collected, I already found like 2 pairs have shared common dreams, so it's kind of surprised me.
I was wondering if there's any rules behind the collaboration? For example, do you only ask friends for dreams, people who are close to you, or do you open this to anyone who's willing to share? And how do you collaborate together? Because it's their dream, but how do you gain access to work with them?
Actually, this is the question that I'm thinking. Because that starting to collecting dreams, I know it is just a very initial and pilot stage. And because during the pandemic, like many cities, country, people have to stay at home for very long. And I worry about their well-being as well. So for me, ideally, I want to collect dreams from general public. Yeah. So, but from the before quarantine, I could only able to collect dreams from friends close to me or schoolmates from school. But actually, it's not what I want. I would want to collect as many dreams as I could, and people I don't know from different cities, but must be including Hong Kong, because yeah, Hong Kong is important to me. So because of the social movement and now the worldwide pandemic, yeah. I wonder like how their dreams may be common, like they share more common stream because of this collective trauma, you know. Yeah.
I remember last year when we saw each other in Sanya and you were working on the questionnaire. And I think you were talking about how in Chicago, usually during midnight, which is the daytime in Hong Kong, you'll be following news on the social movements and everything happening in Hong Kong. And having this urge to connect yourself emotionally with people in Hong Kong, despite of the physical distance and the time differences. And I think maybe the starting point of this dream series is to understand all this subconscious fear and anxiety within Hong Kong. And then maybe after you started to work with your friends in Chicago, you started to realize that there are so many similarities shared among us. And maybe I think if you try some other geographical location, we might find something that is more exciting. I think the individual events that's happening everywhere, and also this global pandemic that connects us but also physically separate us, is presenting a lot of signals of our collective psyche in a way. And based on this, I want to move on to a project that you did last year. Actually, we did it together. I think through that project, we started to have this need to think about collective emotion and how emotion being, on one hand, a individual experience, but on the other hand, something that is very, very public, very much shared with a larger community. It's a project that Doreen and I worked together in 2019 in the summer in Guangzhou in HB Station. I work as the curator of this solo exhibition, and then Doreen produced a series of artwork under the title Heart Cream. Since I'm part of the show, I guess I'll do a very brief introduction of the exhibition, and then Doreen, you can maybe walk everyone through this series. So the starting point of this exhibition is a past relationship of Doreen's. We started to talk about the idea of this series when Doreen just came out from a breakup with an ex-boyfriend, or that's probably already 2 to 3 months after the breakup. I forgot. So the starting point is to talk about emotional residue and how that still dictate us in terms of physical movement and emotional experience. So the exhibition started by thinking about how to handle the emotional residue, how to reflect on it, and how we all share it. And we are also thinking about maybe there's a larger public structure that could be revealed by one's heartbreak. In Doreen's case, this past relationship has a lot to do with space, because Doreen lived with this ex-boyfriend in his family's house. So many people sharing one space, and how to navigate within that space, how to deal with everyone became a daily experience. And that experience lingers after the end of the relationship. And one thing in the exhibition we discussed a lot is how to tell a personal story with many private details. Should we explain everything so that every details in the artworks and in the space are understood, or should we focus more on this abstract emotional experience which can simultaneously connect the audience? So we apparently adopted the latter as a methodology. And in the exhibition space, I think the audience can constantly sense through image and through sound, and also through certain traces of movements, of many repetitive movements like folding, wrapping, stirring, cutting, smashing, and cleaning, and all of which are invoking the sense of domestic labor and also art labor and also emotional labor. I think this is pretty much a very general introduction of the space. And because we just talk about this shared space experience in this past relationship, and this is why Doreen did a 1-month residency in HB Station in order to make the space, to connect homemaking and art making together within this space. Doreen, maybe you can talk a little bit about the residency.
Yeah, yeah, I'm also sharing some photos of the show here. And I stayed in HB Station like about 3 weeks, 4 weeks before the opening. Actually, I think I was feeling lonely and also anxiety, like in the very beginning. After I started living there, I hide myself under the table sometimes. I sit at the corner sometimes, and I found that actually, oh, the space there is too big for me to living alone there. Compared to the living space in Hong Kong, but where I get used to stay, this space is too big and I feel not comfortable. I feel lonely. And then I Google, oh, how to make a space look smaller. And then I found there are some interior design skill I could do, like how to cut the space into different areas by lighting or by some hidden, by some hidden wall, something like that. And I start thinking, oh, how the aspect I could cut them into different areas by lightings, everything. So that idea start matching with artworks that I already have the ideas, or I already creating, to match together and adding more installation, which applied from the skills that I learned from those interior design. And yeah, and that is how this show came out. Yeah. Maybe we could have a very quick walk of the show. Yeah. Okay. So this is the front door of the express station. So this is where I stay there. And this show is collaborated with Parasite in Hong Kong as well. So Chang is the curator. And in the window, there is a video showing there. And what exactly the video is about? Actually, it's a birthday cake. And I try to destroy the birthday cakes slowly by, what can I do?
Should I put
Here. By slowly take off. The fruit and decoration and fatten the cream. And I take the videos when I'm doing that, but I take it backward instead. So audience may think I seems making a cake, but actually I'm destroying a cake. And this piece is called Happy. Yeah, it seems I'm putting some fruit on it, but actually I'm taking out. There's still the mud from the mango on the cream. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, this is the video. And then when audience open the door and try to walk inside the exhibition, and they will find there is some curtain blocking their wall, and they have to pull the heavy curtain aside to enter the space. And and then they will see a paper name, some sculpture, the chair.
And I should probably add that most of the artwork within the space are constructed in a way similar to some of the furniture or some of the structure that you see in a normal like domestic setting. But then every piece is connected to a personal private story. And when we were giving guided tour of this exhibition, we were chatting a lot whether we should share those private stories to let everything make sense. And then we decided to maybe leave some blank space for people to have to pour their imagination into, instead of giving them a very solid background of the work, because sometimes the sound and the lighting and then the feeling you get from the spatial environment can already transmit some of the emotion and feeling. So maybe when Doreen is introducing the artwork, she will mention like 2 to 3 artworks, including their background stories. And then for the rest, we will just jump through the image for people to look at. But if you are curious about any piece, feel free to leave a comment in the comment box, and then Doreen can talk more.
Okay, yeah, and I have to do this. Okay. And then when they walk inside, they will hear the sound. Can you hear the sound now?
Not clear.
It's very quiet, right? Yeah. Okay. So they will hear like the sound of zi, 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 something like that. Yeah, it's from the, yeah, maybe you can hear now.
Mm.
Yeah, audience can hear this sound from the speaker on the wooden knob chair. Yeah. And then for this one, maybe can I just mail it? Can you wait? No, I'm not doing this. Wait, sorry.
Maybe I can also add that the sound is in a bowl on the
And
chair.
then this one on the floor.
Sorry.
It's made of brass. Yeah. And what is it? This is actually from the story that after breakout, sometime when I was alone on street, and then I just suddenly want to walk the path, like from my ex-boyfriend bedroom, like across the living room, and then to kitchen, to the toilet. I just suddenly want to walk again this world, and then eventually I did for several times, like walking, kind of dancing like a crazy woman on street, and I feel better after that. So for this show, we boil like 200 candles, and then I carry the pot with the melted wax and to pour on the floor, like when I'm walking the same path again and again. So the wax, the thickness is become thicker, and then like it's big, and then we kind of like break them into different pieces and put in a different corner of the show.
So that work was the
and for this one, this wall is built for cutting the space. We just mentioned about how I want to deal with my loneliness of living a bigger space like this. And this one is a group actually, and then I spray it into black. And this is the toilet, the washroom in the spray. And I do kind of like invention on it. And there actually the aspect is like a loft, like the first floor and the second floor. When audience walk to the second floor, the welcome mat that I stick on the stair is just halfly taken because it's bigger. The welcome mats are bigger than the step. So it's kind of like unstable, and an audience may feel dangerous walking on it. And this is the second floor. Are you saying hi to me, Google?
You cannot hear us. Can you hear me?
What?
Can you hear me? You can hear me
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
You mute yourself just now.
Oh.
You mute
Maybe
your
your
laptop, so you couldn't hear me, but we can hear you all right.
Okay. Yeah, sorry.
I was hoping to add a little bit on the wax piece.
Okay.
That was the first work when we were planning this show, and when we were talking about it, because we want to use a material to reflect on your walking routes within the apartment, and usually it's a very embarrassed walk. You need to walk through the living room to say hi to the parents, and then walk into the kitchen or walk into the bathroom, and that's 5 to 6 meter long routes. And we were at the beginning thinking about something like a metal rod, so something that is very concrete, and then we can make a very precise routes of your daily walk. And then when we were really thinking about the material, you were proposing wax. And at the first time, it sounds very unrealistic because it breaks off very easily. And then to create a several meter long routes, you need a lot of wax. So at first, it doesn't sound very realistic, but I really like the idea of how the fragility of the wax is linking to one's memory and one's emotional experience, and we decided to do it. And eventually, this roots broke up and shedding a lot of flakes. And we decided not to present the roots as a whole, but to scatter it around the space, like some emotional liquid spilled around the room. So if, Doreen, if you go back to the entry photo of the curtain, the audience can also see like a small pieces of wax on the floor. So giving a lot of hint of the roots and then of this indication of one's emotional experience. That's it.
Yeah, thank you. And also, oh, okay, I missed this. The curtain, actually the curtain is around 7 meters tall. So the ceiling of the loft is really tall. And I mentioned that I try to cut the spaces, like, and then make it like more intimate and small enough for make myself feel better. And actually, and I still want to kind of like compare the actual size of the space with the small rooms that I create. So I hang up the 7 meters curtain, like make audience when they get into the space and so wow, it's so tall, like the ceiling, because the curtain make it look taller too. Yeah.
And as the last thing of the introduction of Heart Cream, Doreen, do you want to play the whiskey flower video?
Yeah.
Everyone, where the sound come from?
Wait, we go back to the second floor first. Yeah. And then
so HB is an art space, and usually they use the first floor, the ground floor, for exhibition, and then the second floor that we see here is for artist residency. So usually artists live here, so they already have the structure of a shelf and a bed, and Doreen made intervention to the shelf and the bed to add in glasses on the bed and then pillows in the shelf. And then we also place a video here.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the original bed they do, by adding the curtain, adding the grass. Yeah, and there is a video on the another one welcome mat, and there is an iPhone on it, and the video. Let me show here. Okay, so this is the video on the iPhone. And this is like, if you can recognize the audio of this video, actually it's linked up with the speaker on the wooden loft chair on the first floor. yeah, so yeah, if you can remember, so it's here. Yeah, the speaker actually is on here, but the video is on second floor. So they're separate and audience couldn't find the video at first, only hear the audio.
And if the visitor sits on the chair, he or she can also sense the vibration coming out from the speaker, because the speaker is placed into a ceramic bowl and the bowl is embedded into the chair. So
Yeah.
there's a physical sensation as well. And we already have a question/comment from Avita Guo. Thank you, Avita. So Avita was saying that I'm quite surprised that you use loads of interior design, hard elements to present emotion, which is soft. I like your work and also was also curious that how you managed or decide to use the media and materials that has opposite spirits compared with the core of works. So you're using elements of interior design, which is related to construction, something that it's very hard. You're using hard material, but you're reflecting something that is very soft, meaning emotional, private, intimate.
Yeah, yeah, actually, this show, the results is kind of surprising myself as well, because there are like 11 artwork, including those installation in the show, and about half of them are already decided like in my mind before I living in the HP station. And then after I living there, and my body make me feel want to kind of changing the space. And so I create those installation, which also kind of reflecting some of the feeling that I had when I staying like long time with my ex-boyfriend and his family. And I think, to be frank, in the very beginning, I didn't, first of all, I didn't think of to do a breakup show. And why I have those artworks ideas, actually was during that very sad time, and those images just suddenly pop up in my mind, just like the happy the cake, like destroying a cake, and like the walking again the road, and I think at that time it's more like just something, the artwork is kind of talking to myself. And once I know I have to do a show about it, then I have to execute them. And I find that actually those execution is kind of a healing for myself. Like the paper lamp on the top, like cutting the 1,000 sheets of paper. And when I'm doing that, actually I feel good. I feel satisfied. So I maybe I'm not really answering the question, but yeah, I could only explain like what I have experienced during the whole process. Yeah.
Maybe I can also respond a little bit to Avita. So I remember when we moved into HB Station, Doreen bought a lot of materials, including paper, towels, doormats. And then we were also thinking about creating wooden panels inside of the space, and also curtains. So there are a lot of materials that we were planning to use as construction material, to use them to create separations within the space. So sometimes the materials are soft and sometimes they are hard. And we were testing constantly on what materials work on, what kind of space and what kind of experience are we creating for the visitor. And I personally really enjoyed the title, which was proposed by Doreen Heart Cream. I I remember you said that heart cream was this cake that we had in Shanghai, but eventually I think heart cream is a very nice term to describe the softness and the hardship in intimate emotional experience in one's romantic relationship. But then we didn't want to stop it at a very private realm. We were hoping that this was something that we can share, that can create an empathy among people who are within that space. So I think at this point we can speak very little bit about the public program that we were planning to do for this project, which is a sharing group in which we want to invite people from the nearby neighborhood to come in, and then we can form a group who share each other's heartbreak story, and based on those stories to talk about, is there a larger social structure that is facilitating this kind of similar experience? Because whenever we're talking about experience of heartbreak, it sounds similar, the experience, the steps that you went through. So this was something that we were planning to do at the time.
Yeah, and actually recently I thought of a lot about about like I collecting dreams, and during this pandemic is I really want to do something like about the well-being of people. And I sometimes so I think of like what we have planned to do for the Heart Cream Show, the public program, to have like deep talk, like, or sharing like breakup or some personal story among people. Although like actually for my initial motivation of making artwork is more like I have to hear myself instead of really collecting people. I don't really have a purpose to have a soul, you know, before. But I think I'm very happy and satisfied. Like every time, especially for solo show, like few audience will come to me, and some of them I don't even know them. They will share their very intimate stories with me. Like just like the one of the show that I had is about my daddy passed away, and yeah, one of the friends who I'm not very close with, and suddenly telling me that actually I have the same feeling as well. My dad has passed away many years ago, but I still crying like once I mentioned about him. And yeah, I think like what I have did is like very small, like since I only very connected small amount of people, but what they telling me, I feel wow. Why telling me is yeah, is so amazing, you know.
Doreen, do you want to quickly walk us through the exhibition about your father?
Okay, yeah, I can do. See, yeah. This is the show that I did 2 years ago, that about my daddy who passed like 8-9 years ago. Why I start doing this project, because before doing the show, once I mentioned about my dad, I still crying, although he has passed away like already like 7 years. And I think maybe it's time like for me to deal with this emotional problem or suppression. So I do this, so I follow my art practice habits that I didn't really try to find his story by asking my mom, asking his friends. I just keep fishing out some fragments from my memories that I had with him and with my family, and or between he and my mom, which I can see. And I try to transform those specific moments from the memory into different artwork, as you can see here. And maybe I could talk about this one. This one is called I Guess You're Looking At. And I hanging binds on the window in the gallery. And I start with dried flower. Actually, this flower are white chapet, which is a very common, or I could say like symbolic flower in Hong Kong. You can find in like neighborhood. What? And
They smell very nice.
yes, yeah. Sometimes the taxi driver, they will
Hey,
put them.
I know.
Yeah,
You know,
and
Sean.
yeah, and this is the favorite flower of my dad. And although he looked like so muscular, and yeah, he really loved white Charbon. And then in his funeral, I put some white Charbon on his body. And when I'm preparing this show, I imagine how those flowers look like now. And because my dad is buried, so I imagine those white Charbon are dried. So I dried some white Charbon, and then once it's dried, and I found they became dark brown in color. I was, what, like they don't look like what I know, what my dad love. So I have the intention to paint it in white. Yeah. So that's why I put this white chapat on the vine. Vine is something, an element that I always use to kind of represent my scale of using vine, and yeah, privacy as well. Yeah, that's why I'm doing this. Yeah.
We're almost time. So I want to remind everyone, please feel free to drop any question or comments you have in the chat box, or you can directly unmute yourself and ask questions or just express yourself here with us. Welcome.
Yeah, and this one is about, because my parents work as agents of fabric industry in Shamshui like a decade ago. And at the time, since I was like 10 years old, sometimes I will went to there and then work with them. And I kind of missed that time. So I brought the cabbage on the floor first, and then I pull out one hair, like from the cabbage, and I use that one hair to go to some triple to find a cloth that is exactly the same color. So it's taken me quite a while to find the exact color cloth from that small hair. Yeah, and so the cup I hang on the wall is kind of like how I re-experience that, like how my parents working so hard to educate them us. Yeah.
So Yang Yang was sharing a quote. We lack the right word for the extreme energizing and governance of instinct for ordered
For the ordered enlistment of intuition, which marks the artist.
George Steiner, real presences. And then Paulina was saying that thank you for the generous sharing of how you come to create the pieces. They are very intimate and rooted in time, space experience and making a connection that others can connect with for the order. For the piece about your father, I asked you this question before, but I want to ask again. So when I saw that show in Guangzhou, I really like the color combination and like the design element within the work. But at the time when I was watching that show, I didn't really get that it's a story about you and your father. And it was until I talked to you, I realized that it's such an intimate, personal story. And I was wondering why such a clean space?
Yeah. Actually, it's my intention to make the whole show look clean, kind of rational, because this show for me is reflect how the situation or emotional condition of me, like after doing this artwork, like think a lot about my memory, about my family, my dad. And I was surprised as well after doing this artwork. Actually at that time, once I think of my dad again, actually I become more calm, and which is very different from what I was before doing this show. To be frank, before doing this show, when I knew that I have to do a show about my dad, I imagined the show will be very emotional. I will break the wall, you know, something like more expressive. But yeah, I found that the way that I kind of re-experience the memories, recreation, and just make me kind of relive. I think this story is also healing me. Yeah. Yeah.
You mentioned how much you're scared to handle the blinds because it can get very messy all the time. And then this way of facing the memory of your past father is a way to force yourself to handle the blind. And I guess the way you handle it very clean is it's a very personal decision. And I want to point out the fact that a point that I really appreciate in your work is I can see this gradation in these three projects, from How to Close a Window to Hard Cream and then to the Dream series. You are basing something that is very personal and very emotional, and you're trying to expand them into a larger ground and use this emotion to connect a larger community. And you are doing exactly that in Dream. And then you are gradually trying to do that in Hard Cream. And then it was extremely personal to you in How to Close a Window. And I really enjoy that development in your work. We have more comments. So Yang Yuan shared another comment. She said the quote, "It's like something we all need for hugging, cuddling, and also struggle with against grabbing and trying to kick off as well." And Yu Xing said, "Thank you for the beautiful sharing. I'm wondering if you recreate the same work in different space." You did.
Yeah, I did. For the hard cream, we kind of recreate and combine it with different field works from other shows into this presentation of Sanya Young Artist Award like half years ago in Art Sanya. And you can see like the works are mostly from the hard cream show. While I also consider the audience experience again, like when the venue changed. I think also it's what I changed since the show that I work on my dad topic. I felt I really care about the audience experience in the show. So although every time like since I start from my very personal reason to start creating artwork, but once I know I have a show, I think of about the spatial and how audience feel in the space, and I will do some installation and think more how audience to experience it. And I think maybe this turnout is kind of strengthen the connection with audience, maybe. Yeah.
And Anqi has another question. She said, "Hi, Doreen. Has your way of feeling emotions or expressing emotions changed after you moved to a different country and now living in a different culture?"
Yeah. I think I do, and it's also, I think moving to a new place with like very different culture, and it's part of the reason. Another reason is triggered by this reason as well. Like, I think I am into a different stage of my life. It's also make me have the urge to extend my art practice to connect other who I really worry, like people staying at home right now, seems like they're facing insomnia or even domestic violence, you know, etc. Unemployment, emotional unstable, you know. It's a good question, but I don't, it's all combined and linked. How I moved here and facing such a big change, those big changes worldwide, and also study in art school, but studying in art education, and we do a lot of readings of equality, what we're facing here, like the issue of Black Lives Matters. We have coffee, we have lootings for a week. It's so much to learn, you know. And so much to understand. So my my mind is kind of stopped right now because it's too much information and I can't judge anything. And
But
yeah.
this question reminds me that your recent work in Chicago, they are more sculptural based, whilst your previous works are more image based, or you are using existing objects or found objects to create your work. But now it's something that is more hands-on. Does this has anything to do with moving from Hong Kong to Chicago?
I think it's true because like this one, as some of you may know, I am more like a image-based artist before, but because I'm in art school right now, we have the facility. I taking some classes of ceramic. Yeah, and also about the limitation, like the canvas here is so expensive, and I don't want to buy a canvas, you know, and I started finding more different material. And yeah, I think one is also important. I think artists move to other city may facing the same problem too. Like, you know, in Hong Kong or in mainland China, like once we have some ideas of installation, we have to build something, like we have technician to help. But here, it is not affordable for me to hire a technician to build something unless I do it by myself. I'm learning, and it's still kind of dangerous, you know, for me. I'm not very skillful, you know. So I think now for me it's like a transition. I am absorbing something, and I don't know what is the outcome yet. Yeah. Just like my dream project, yeah.
Gwen says, thank you for sharing your works. I really like how the way they were presented can make someone feel the void drawn from the emotional stories behind them. It's seeing something very concrete and yet feel its fragility at the same time. And then Paul says, hi, Doreen. It is really a great idea to share your walks of emotions with the use of spilling wax inside your living space. And what's more, the reconstruction of dreams by collecting those dream mails is something kind of bringing some of connections to the to the world.
This is too bad. Oh wow, everyone is still staying here, you know. It's already like,
thank you, everyone. Oh
yeah.
Doreen do have a TA job to be started in, let me see, in about 10 minutes. So we need to wrap this up. I like call for the last questions if there's any.
And let me see who are here. I miss my folks in Hong Kong. Hi everyone.
I see Mia Yu, and Mu Xi.
I see, yeah, quite a couple of names, yeah.
Mu Xi saying hi. I think I'll let Doreen go to prepare for her job. Thank you, Doreen, so much for sharing so many projects with us. And thank you, everyone, for staying with us for 1.5 hours. Thank you for joining us tonight. And our next studio visit will be with Oscar Chen, who is also a Hong Kong artist currently based in Paris. He used ink painting to paint monsters and ghosts, and we're gonna check in on him and see what's his recent projects. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Miss you guys.
Good night and have a good day.
Yeah, take care. Enjoy the rainbow in Hong Kong. Bye.